Hello and good afternoon, all of you, and I welcome you all to this new session of corporate venturing, where Mr. Dinesh Agarwal, Director of Accenture Ventures and Open Innovation, is going to introduce you how the collaboration between a startups and corporate venture will help you. Dinesh is now, he's leading open innovation and open innovation program at Accenture and is responsible for driving the open innovation agenda for Accenture technology and operation units in India, which includes managing startup relationship, client collaboration, and offering development. At Startup Zone, Dinesh leads two startup zones for Accenture India. This is physical space where at any point of time, 8 to 10 startups, they all work together with Accenture or any of its client use cases. And he is also an M&A and investment. He is responsible for driving inorganic agenda, which includes strategic minority investments, acquisitions, and fund in the digital and NEW IT space. Ecosystem relationship also is managed by Dinesh, and he manages relationship with the ecosystem partners including VCs, PE investment banks, and academic institutes. Prior to Accenture, Dinesh had also work experience of working as a program director of corporate development at IBM India and South Asia. And he has also worked with Shinzi Bank Japan as non-banking finance and technology strategy. So I welcome you, Dinesh, to this session. And we also have Mr. Varun, and he's going to represent the startup Cripsy, and he's going to share his opinion and his experience of how collaborating with Accenture, has helped his startup. So to start with, Dinesh, can you please introduce all our startups, like how the Accenture, why working with Accenture will be beneficial for all the startups?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Vijeta. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dinesh Agarwal, as Vijeta mentioned, and I lead Accenture Ventures and Open Innovation for our technology and operations business in India. So maybe what I'll do is I'll quickly take you through some of the slides, etc., so that you understand what is our whole philosophy of collaborating with the startup ecosystem is. So, and then we talk specifically about how we have been working with the startups till now, and what is the kind of a benefit which Accenture has derived out of that, and how startups are deriving some kind of a benefit in working along with Accenture. So let me share my screen. Let me know once you are able to see my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible, Dinesh.
Yeah. So I'll start with a bit of a backdrop in terms of what kind of disruptions which Accenture is seeing in the market. Okay. And what kind of innovation trends which we are visualizing at this point of time. In our experience, many of you would be aware of what Accenture is doing. So Accenture is a global services player, and we have got a revenue of about $35 billion. We have about 400,000 people across the globe. And interestingly, out of those 400,000 people, about 180,000 people are based in India. So we have got large delivery, solutioning, as well as sales capabilities in India as well. Right? Our areas which we focus on are technology, operations, digital, strategy, and consulting. So these are the areas which we focus on. And we focus on some 40 industries within that. Plus, we have got presence in 120 countries. That's a brief overview about what Accenture does for people who are not aware of that. So, and like when we look into the market, what we are seeing is all the industries are going through a disruption, whether it is an automotive industry or consumer products, healthcare, banking, name the industry, they're all going through disruptions, right? And given these kind of disruptions which are happening in the marketplace, we have got three options to work on as Accenture. One, we ignore the startups, right? So that is a simpler option, and then we'll become another codec, right? So we don't want to be. Second, we fight with the startups in the market And whenever we go through some kind of an RFP process, of late we have been seeing a lot of startups who are participating in those RFPs as well, right? So we fight them in the market. Or the third option, which we are actually executing or implementing at this point of time, is collaborate with the startups. So essentially what we do is we work alongside with the startups, bring best of the startups as well as the innovation which Accenture is doing, and then take it to our customers and win deals there. So that is the approach which we are taking at this point of time. Now, is startup collaboration is something new? The answer is no. Many of the companies are already doing startup collaboration, and given that most of you are running your companies, you are aware of that. Whether it is Intel or Qualcomm or Target or Facebook or Google, all of the players are having some kind of a startup engagement. Now, how is Accenture different as compared to the other startup programs which are happening across the industry? That's where I'll be spending most of my time, and what is the kind of a value proposition which we bring on to the people, right? So what we have seen is, if I look into our partnership arena, so till about a couple of years back, we only partnered with the biggies, the likes of SAP, HP, Microsoft, Oracle, etc., right? And just for your information, we are the biggest system integrators for SAP and Oracle at this point of time. And we make more than $10 billion of revenue by doing system integration activities for SAP, HP, Microsoft, Oracle. So these are the four companies which we have been focusing on, and we have been amazing partners to them, and we have got a fantastic relationship. Now, that was our focus area. But while we were focused on them, there were new players who actually came out in the market, the cloud native companies, the likes of Workday, ServiceNow, Salesforce, etc. And somehow, and I don't have any apprehension, but somehow we lost the bus there. So we have got a big relationship with these companies, but are we the largest integrators for them? The answer is no. And we realized that, yeah, something wrong has happened. So we still do $500 million to $1 billion of revenue with these bigger players as well, the Workdays and Salesforce of the world, but we are not the largest system integrator for them. So that's when about 5 years back, we realized that now we have to very carefully look into what's happening in the market, how this technology landscape is changing, and start collaborating with the startups much more proactively. And that's where we have started creating a list of the Wave 3 startups, and we look into number of companies in the Wave 3 and also in the Wave 4. And the difference between the Wave 3 and the Wave 4 is Wave 3 is a startup which I would have already got a Series A or Series B of funding. And Wave 4 is something which is at an academic level or something which is more at a seed stage at this point of time. Here is the blueprint of what Accenture Ventures is all about. So Accenture Ventures includes something called as Open Innovation, wherein we collaborate with the startups. It includes minority equity investments, accelerators and funds, employee innovation, and all these four things which you see above the line are basically to drive the client innovation. That's the kind of a philosophy which we run into, right? So I'll talk more about open innovation as we move forward, but in terms of minority equity investments, globally, we have made about 24 equity investments till date in last 2 years or so. The whole idea of making investments is they have to be strategic in nature for us. So the way in which it works is we work with the startup, we go along with them to a couple of customers, we start tasting the success, and then we realize that, yeah, this is strategic to us, and why don't we make an investment? And because of that, one, the startup gets some kind of a commitment from Accenture, and we also get a lot of commitment from the startups as well. Accelerators and funds. So at this point of time, I run 2 accelerators out of Bangalore, one for our technology business and the other one is for our operations business. Operations is primarily BPO and infrastructure outsourcing. We also make investments. We go as an LP investment into the VC funds as well. So last year we made a LP investment in a VC fund called as Partech in France. At this point of time also we are evaluating a few funds where we can go as an LP investment. And on the employee venturing, what we have realized is when the startups and the employees of Accenture work together, the creativity enhances. So that is the reason why employee innovation is also very important from a startup perspective. So What is open innovation? So open innovation is basically we act as a bridge maker between the startups and our global 2000 companies. As all of us, we understand the whole DNA of the startups is very, very different as compared to the way in which the large global 2000 companies work. So what we do is we look into the startups, we understand that what are the priorities, etc. We look into the credentials of the team which has started the company, plus what is the kind of a problem they're trying to solve, and try to see what and how we can position them to our global 2000 companies. See, it's not a new thing now. If it was 5 years back, then this would have been a very, very new thing for every one of us. Now the global 2000 companies, they are also very keen in working with the startups. The challenge which they run into is, how do I know that which startup is good for me, whether they comply with all the security aspects, who owns the IP, is the solution scalable, all these problems or questions they always have in their mind, right? So that's where what we do is we try to de-risk that particular aspect by talking to the startups, understanding their value. Our technology subject matter experts come into the picture. They actually do a double click on the capability or the product which the startup is bringing onto the table and see whether it makes sense or not. After we think that it makes sense, that's when we start and take it to our customers. And with customers, we start with a POC, and then our main objective is not the POC. The objective is how we can move beyond POC to a scalable model, right? And that's where there is a whole journey which goes through. So it's a journey which startup takes along with Accenture, and also we need to have clear sponsorships from our customers. And when I talk about customers, I mean customers like a Unilever, a Mondelez, an Airbus, or Citibank. So all these biggie customers is what we're talking about. And just that you're aware, in Accenture, on an annual basis, we get about 1,500 customer visits. And out of that, about 500 customer visits are at the CXO level. That's an annual number. So you can safely assume that in a week, we get at least 2 to 3. Uh, Sorry, it's not 2 to 3. In a week, we get about 10 to 15 CXO level visits out of our offices in Bangalore itself, right? So that is the kind of a scope which we are working on. And if we are able to present them as startup partners, what else do the startups want? So that's the philosophy which we go into. The priority areas for us is mobility, artificial intelligence, AR, VR, blockchain, industry X.0, 3D printing, cybersecurity. So these are the areas which we are focusing on right now. And the companies which we look into are typically the enterprise companies who have got a B2B solution. We are not in a B2C kind of a business. Something which is in the B2B2C kind of a space is also some which would be applicable to us. And we work along with the startups, with our liquid studios, our digital practice, our design entity called as Fjord. We put all these wrapper around that and then take it to our customers. Uh, we are a global program. We have got presence in about 33 countries. It all started in Silicon Valley in 2013. We formally started this program in Bangalore in India in 2015. We at a global level are tracking, or I'll not say tracking, we have got a database of over 200,000 startups. We would have spoken to more than 5,000 startups, and we are actively collaborating with about 150 startups. And the numbers for India is we would have spoken to more than 1,000 startups in India, again enterprise startups. And at this point of time, we are collaborating with over 80 startups. When I say collaboration, we would have brought them in our customer meetings and stuff like that. How do we channel the startups? Through our connects with the VC funds, through corporate accelerators, and also through the industry bodies, right? So we are partnered with MVP, Excel Partners, Sequoia, Kalari, Bloom Ventures, IVCAP, then IMCII, as well as when you look from the corporate VC perspective, we are partnered with Microsoft Ventures. So we are like one of the close partners of Microsoft Ventures, GenNext, which is the Reliance startup program, Qualcomm Ventures, Intel Capital, etc., etc. The reason why we partner with these entities is they would have gone through a curation process. We go through a curation process, and that's where it makes a lot of sense for us to collaborate and see what is the best which we can take it to the world. We are again a big partner to NASSCOM. We have been sponsoring NASSCOM Product Conclave for the last couple of years. In fact, for last 2-3 years, we have been a platinum partner to NASSCOM Product Conclave as well. We collaborate with TIE, NUMA, IoT World, and all these different industries bodies where we have got a strong relationship with. And that's where we are able to source the right set of the startups as well. Now, as I was mentioning, right, so we look into almost, we have got a database of almost 200,000 startups, and it goes through a funnel process. Globally, we have got about 70 people in Accenture Ventures and Open Innovation who actually do this job. In India, we have got a 6-member team. And these are some of the names of the companies with whom we have collaborated. As I was mentioning, right, we are collaborating with over 80 companies at this point of time. So with all these companies, we would have had discussions or brought them to our customers or worked with them for our customer projects, etc., and delivered solutions to our customers. Now, quickly, the way in which we actually, so what is our positioning to our customers? And this is very important, which I would like to highlight. See, our customers are interested in startup scan. They're interested in getting rapid prototyping done. They're interested in innovation scale up or open innovation service or venture builder, right? So these are different ways in which the corporates, the clients of ours, they want to engage with our startup partners. So that's where we provide these kind of services to our customers in collaboration with the startups. And this is more to tell you that how exactly we position ourselves and where exactly we bring in the startups as well. And typically when we go for an engagement framework, right? So what we expect from a client is they should do the innovation sponsorship. They should provide the data, use cases, continuous feedback to the startups, because that's important. After you do a POC, and if you forget about the startup, then what is the value add which you are doing to any of us, right? And from the startups, the expectation is basically they should get a good understanding about the client priorities and objective. And I'm not talking about understanding of the use case, but it's more about the priorities and the objectives, right? If you're able to collaborate with them at a strategic level, then you have got their mind share, right? And that's when you will be successful. And that's the difference which we are seeing between a successful startup and not so successful startup at this point of time as well. Our role is basically we do a scan, we do a technical and business due diligence. We look into the aspects of how the startup solution can be scaled up. And we would also provide integration services, because the existing technology of a client, we have got a very good knack of that. And once we understand what is that the startup is bringing on the table, can we integrate that wherever there is an integration requirement, which is that, right? Then besides that, we also do program management and governance. So this is broadly what the engagement which we work on, and this is our learning with startups, and this is something which we go and tell our corporates as well, our clients as well, that 95% of the startup and corporate relationship that ends at a POC stage. Is it very beneficial? You might get some money out of that, but is it something which is strategic in nature? The answer is no. So how we can reduce this 95% number to, let's say, 80% and 50%, maybe 0% in like a couple of years? The other philosophy which we run is do good for the startup, because ultimately startup is squeezed of money, right? So anytime anybody tells me that can we get something free from a startup, my answer is no. We are not in the game of getting anything free from the startup. The reason is they're anyways starved of money, and I getting something for free doesn't make much of a sense. So we try to do something good for the startups. Invest from a long-term perspective. It's not a relationship which we want to try it out from a branding perspective or positioning, but it's more about make it real and make it happen, right? And then again, we also preach a lot on learn constantly and change constantly, because when we talk about large organizations like Accenture, right, we have got procurement team and legal team and all those guys, etc. What happens is they typically treat a startup like any other vendor. So we tell them that no, don't treat startups as any other vendor. Let's give some kind of a preferential treatment to them, because they are here to bring in something new to the world, right? And we have to support, and that's where we'll start seeing the value. Now, this is what I had from a slideware perspective, and maybe I'll spend 2 more minutes on talking about the program which we are running at this point of time. So we are running, so we are almost on the verge of finishing our first cohort, wherein we have got 5 startups, and they are in the areas of artificial intelligence, computer vision, blockchain. So these are the areas which they're focusing on at this point of time. And there is one more company in the AR/VR space as well. And, and the engagement is so we go into we evaluate the startups. We don't go through a typical application kind of a process. We like we talk to them, we understand that what is the value which they bring on the table, and then we decide that yeah, this makes sense for us. So once we have decided on a startup, we provide them a few use cases, and these use cases have to be built for Accenture, and for that we pay money. It's not going to be a free job, right? So the use cases have to be a paid use case. Typically what we do is we pay about $10,000 per startup to develop these use cases, and we also expect them to spend a couple of days in a week in our office in Accenture. The reason why we do that is uh, if we have those startups in our office, then we can actually present them to our customers. Uh, and the startups themselves can talk to our customers and give them a point of view on what exactly can be done. The whole story is around art of possibilities. So one is you know what you know, and you don't know a lot of things as well, which the customer might know, and they can tell you that okay, this is the way in which you should be looking into developing some kind of a solution for us. So that's the reason why we expect the startups also to be present in our office for a period of 3 to 4 months as part of the cohort. And during that period, they would have developed a good rapport with our internal folks as well as our customers, so that there can be follow-on discussions which can happen, and with an objective that we are able to do some kind of a deal. So that is broadly what we have got this kind of an engagement program in place. Are we big time into mentoring and all those things? The answer is no. We are not in the business of mentoring the startups. Startups are smart enough, and there are a lot of platforms which actually mentor the startups and all. We are in the business of working with them, taking to our customers, developing the use cases, and for that we pay some kind of a money. Like the money might not be a huge money, but still we try to cover your costs, etc., so that nobody loses in the whole game. So this is what I had in my mind, and I'll stop here. Visit over to you.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Is it?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So meanwhile, Mr. Varun, can you please, give a small introduction about Cripsy, your startup, and how a collaboration with the Accenture has helped Cripsy?
Sure. So, hi all, this is Varun here. But let me just switch on my video. Yeah, so I'm sitting here right now in the Accenture Ventures office in Incubation Center. So we are basically a blockchain company, and we have been we've been in the business since for around 2 years or so. We were incubated out of in Bangalore and around 2 years ago, and we've been focusing on providing blockchain solutions for various enterprises per se. So we utilize niche protocols like Hyperledger, etc., to help them to simplify their blockchain journey of sorts. And for the last 1 year or so, we have been associated with Accenture for various projects, engagements as well. And we've even done some internal projects with them as a part of this initiative that Dinesh was talking about. And so far, it's been we've been working very closely with their community, and we've been trying to work together in order to take our solutions to various clients of theirs. So we have very regular discussions out of this office, where they get in people like Cole, etc., different clients from various sectors, where we try to figure out where specific solutions offerings that we provide could be beneficial to them. And it's been a journey where we Accenture folks also contribute towards the thought process and knowledge, and try to figure out which solution fit in where, and how we are able to together bring innovation onto the table. And as a startup, I think it has been a beneficial journey for both for us as well, because we have been getting a market reach like what Accenture has today is going to be difficult for a startup, right? Especially if you're don't have the amount of experience that they have. So coming from that perspective, it has opened a lot of doors and at the same time helped us to reach a lot of more enterprises per se. This is probably what I have to say. And also, when you're a part of this initiative, Accenture kind of helps you to, helps create that name out for you. Whenever we have events, etc., which we attend together with Dinesh, and his team, we always get that visibility and interaction with various people where we can actually bring our brand image out to the public as well. So that way, I think it's been a good journey. Anything else specifically you need from me, Vijay?
Apart from that, so apart from the monetary terms, in other ways, how have you benefited with your collaboration with Accenture?
So I think even inside Accenture, there have been a lot of people who have been taking interest. So right from, I think, senior management here in Accenture, they all have been exploring how potential technologies like blockchain, etc., could fit in various spaces. So we've always had that engaging discussions and trying to see in which areas these solutions could bring out a lot of benefit. That way, there has been a lot of discussions around areas like supply chain, etc., and we've where it has opened certain potentials that we have not seen before and which we could leverage to directly enhance our products going along with their journey to be able to help out other clients as well, so that way to help our improving our own products per se, and at the same time maybe a little knowledge about how the various industries work. For example, if you're working with Accenture for a specific project, they will make sure the requirements come to you in a very simplified manner. And working with them, you get consultant experience as well, where things are very clear to you, using which you can go forward very quickly without depending upon brainstorming sessions with clients, etc., where you try to figure out requirements. So that way, the consultancy part is probably where Accenture has really helped us a lot. So that's probably my take.
Yeah, I think we can see that from your background right now. You are sitting in Accenture office itself, and maybe you are getting all kind of mentorship that is required at each and every stage, right?
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Yeah. So
sorry, Vijay.
Yeah, no problem.
Warren, maybe you can just move the laptop a bit and show the space also to the folks on the
sure, yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm sitting out of my own office. So this is the space which we have created. So this is about a 2,500 space. Right? This is like an open kind of a space with a lot of collaboration spaces and stuff like that.
Great, actually. I think if more number of startups start sitting together and start developing, they might end up creating their own entirely new improved product might be, right? And Dinesh, can you please explain how the collaboration with the Cripsy has benefited Accenture?
Oh yeah, so Cripsy is a pretty interesting company. On the blockchain front, right? So what they have done is they have created a whole platform. So earlier when we started the engagement, they were on Hyperledger 0.6, and like they migrated now to Hyperledger 1.0. The good thing which we like about Cripsy is it's like a modular platform which they have created. And if we have got a use case, a customer wants a particular use case to develop, then Cripsy can develop that in like a small use case can be developed in like 2 to 3 weeks kind of time frame. That is pretty significant for us because we don't go with a concept to our customers. We say that, yes, see this minimal viable product for yourself. And now it's in front of you. It's not that something which you're talking on a PowerPoint. This is real for you and you can take it forward from there.
Yeah. So one of our participants wants to know, so are you going to charge any equity in turn of that 10K that you were offering?
No.
No, it is. They're not going to charge any equity, and it's a pure.
Yeah. So as I was mentioning, right, our relationship is a very simple relationship. You bring in some value onto the table in terms of the capabilities which you have, which is a differentiated kind of a capability. And then how we can integrate that as part of our overall proposition to our customers so that you benefit, we benefit. we're not here in the business of only you benefiting. We also want to benefit out of this. But equity is not a thing which we want to get into because that's something which is outside our philosophy.
Yes, and Mr. Vishak wants to know how long is the cohort, and what happens after the cohort?
Yes, the cohort is typically a 4 months kind of a cohort. And as I mentioned, right, cohort is an industrial acceptable terminology, and that's what you are also following at this point of time.
Yes.
Our objective is not a cohort kind of an objective. Our objective is a long-term relationship with the startup and the value which they bring out of the table. So, short answer: cohort is a 4 months cohort, and after the cohort, during the cohort, we give a lot of opportunities for our startup partners to interact with the largest set of people within Accenture and our customers, etc. And we expect them to continue this relationship post they are in cohort as well. In fact, I also tell them that in case somebody is interested in working from our place for a longer term, they can do that as well. At this point of time, we have got a lot of space available. We will continue using that and interact with our internal as well as the clients.
So in case is startup need to be in Bangalore for that cohort, or because some of the startups are not situated in Bangalore, so they are from other parts of this country also.
Yeah, so we don't restrict. So we can have startups from anywhere in the world, and I'm saying that anywhere in the world. It's not just India as well, right?
Yeah.
You have to take care of logistics and stuff like that. From a space perspective, we'll provide you space. We'll have a contract with you, which will define on the use case and stuff like that. That's something which we'll take care of. But yeah, you can be from anywhere.
Yeah. And is Accenture looking at hiring vendors for 6 months?
What does that mean?
So Mr. Vivek wants to know. So Vivek, 1 second. Can you please elaborate your question? What exactly you want to know here? So Vivek, I have unmuted you. So I think we'll come back to him again. Meanwhile, while did you specify that you are currently interested in startups with B2B solution? Is your interest again limited to technology platforms or solutions?
Yes. So we are in the technology business. We are looking into enterprise solutions. So that's the only area which we are focusing on. We are not into the B2C kind of a business. So logically, it doesn't make sense for us to collaborate with startups in the B2C space.
And Mr. Kushal wants to know what is the process of getting onboarded to this platform. You pick startups which is into very early stage startup, or can it be any stage to work with Accenture?
Our preference is startups who have got a platform or a capability which is built in, and they would have done some kind of a POC, or they might have a few existing customers, right? So that is the area or is the category of startups which we typically try to work with, because as you can imagine and you appreciate, we would not make our clients as guinea pigs for any of the solutions which a startup is putting together. So we need to have some kind of a maturity from our startup partners whom we can actually take it to our customers.
Okay. So Mr. Vipin has a question here. Vipin, you can ask your
question.
Can you hear
me?
Yes.
So basically, I just want to know, we are also one startup company, and we provide B2B solutions, and we provide the solutions service delivery. We provide services through third party resource mobilization, freelancer and job seekers, and we have tested that we are covering pan India, and through our freelancers and all that, and we have provided the services to various corporates also. So whether this type of startup also can be associate through Accenture, just I want to know from the Mr. Dinesh. And maybe I am CFO and I am finance related person. So maybe I will not be so good in explaining the concept how we are providing the services. But definitely our CEO has the very big vision to provide the services pan India and through freelancers and through jobs, freelancer and job seekers.
Got it. So I think from a concept perspective, this is more around a crowdsourcing kind of a platform is what we're creating, wherein you utilize freelancers and job seekers who can provide services to the large customers. So is that an area of our interest? The answer is definitely yes, because we believe in the concept of liquid workforce. The world is changing and everybody is looking for getting the best of the people for the right kind of jobs and stuff like that. And that's where a crowdsourcing platform makes sense. Now, whether it is through our startup cohort program or irrespective of that, let's stay connected. As in, you can drop us some details about what exactly you're doing, what kind of a capabilities which you bring onto the table. We'll definitely evaluate and see whether it fits to our requirements at this point of time. And if it fits, then we can take the discussions.
Yes, so you can get in touch initially with Mr. Rahul Gulati. I have mentioned his email ID here. So he will help you to, connect with Accenture, any of the use cases. Okay, and someone wants to know, Mr. Abhijit wants to know, what happens after POC is successful? What is the pipeline post POC?
See, once the POC, so one is use cases which we get developed from our startup partners. Then we showcase those use cases to the customers, and with the customers we try to do a POC. And once the POC is successful, then the expectation which we have from our customers is, can we look into a long-term commercial engagement along with the startup? So that's the unbundling part which happens basically. So that's when we take the solution from the startup, we bring in our own system integration kind of capabilities, plus consulting and transformational capabilities, which can further be taken to our customer. So it doesn't stop at POC, but it goes beyond POC if the POC is successful.
Makes sense, yes. And so Mr. Vivek had a question back. So it's like, that Accenture is incubating startup and mentioned for 6 months. So 1 second. So that's why he asked, like, is Accenture looking to hire vendors for 6 months?
See, again, we are not looking for vendors for a period of time. Our objective is primarily to look into differentiated startups in the areas of artificial intelligence, AR, VR, blockchain, IoT, etc., who have got some solution in place. So we use that solution or a platform, build a full-fledged solution for our customers. That is the kind of an engagement which you're looking into. We are not talking about getting resources from some company, etc. That's a separate part of Accenture which deals with.
So when in an agreement with the Accentures, can startups work with other companies as well? So, might be some of the Accenture's competitors in the market, or is there any limitations that they have to work with you itself?
No, so we don't have any restrictions. The only restriction which we have with the startup is whatever use cases which we talk to you about, or whatever the client connects which we provide, they remain confidential, and you are not expected to share those use cases or client connects, etc., with our competitors. And this is more of a ethical level of agreement which we go into. But we understand, being a startup, you have to work with different companies, and you're free to do that.
Yeah, and again, Mr. Kushal Agarwal wants to know, like, how can we enroll or pitch for this program? So as I told, Rahul will be your point of contact. Rahul's email ID and his contact number is also here. So you can make a note of it, and he'll help you with all kind of enrollment details. Okay, so is there any other questions? So I can try reading them for you. Apart from that, we also have so what kind of support will Accenture provide in product incubation?
So now again, as I mentioned, right? So we would not be interested in working with the very early stage startups. If there is already a product which you have developed, then the support which we provide is we'll get our technology architects who would actually go through the product and tell you that what are the challenges you face, etc., and how it can be made so that it is a scalable kind of a platform which you are putting together. So these are some of the supports which will provide. But in terms of incubating a product, that's not an area which we play.
Okay. And Mr. Amul Kore wants to know, is there any support available for innovative digital electronic product having a wearable or IoT healthcare domain? Actually, their POC is ready and it can be scaled up.
I think let's discuss this offline. Send us some details about what exactly you have developed. We'll
Yes.
look into that and then we can revert.
Yes, I think that makes sense.
As an area, healthcare, is it an area of interest? The answer is yes. Is wearables an area of interest? The answer is yes again.
Yeah, makes sense. So I think, okay, for the products already in the market but awaiting global scale, do we need to enroll for the program or we can directly pitch the business case?
You can directly press the business case. So program enrollment is one part of the story, but the key thing which you're looking for is a whoever has got good technologies or products, and you can go through Accenture's website also to get an understanding about what are the areas which you work on. So if you think that you are playing in the AI space or AR, VR, IoT, blockchain, or cloud or cyber security or mobility, etc., all the enterprise areas, right? So if you're playing in those areas and you think that you have got some products and customers already and you want to take it to a global stage, then let's definitely have a discussion around that.
Yes, makes sense. So I think all other are kind of repetitive questions, and you have tried answering them already. So is there anything else you want to specify, Dinesh?
So Vijita, I think there is a question around equity. The answer is we don't take any equity from any of the startups.
Yes, you have
We
already
have to
mentioned about that. Yes.
investment in the company.
Yeah.
The last point which I would like to highlight here is see, our objective is basically, and I covered this particular part earlier in my discussion, but I would like to reiterate here. Our
Yes.
objective is to build the best of the technologies for our customers to solve their problem, or take them through a digital transformation journey, right? So that is our objective. That's something which we do internally as well as working with the startup partner. Right? So that is the broad objective which we look into. And in the process, we definitely, I myself evangelize the startup ecosystem of India and the global startup ecosystem as well. So we are not here to cut the corners with the startups, etc. Our objective is basically, can we look at you guys as a long-term partner, depending upon the mutual benefits which we reap from each other. So that is the way in which we would look into. And when I say mutual benefits, the only thing which I'm looking from a startup is the product capability and the passion is the team. Visak, face-to-face meeting, definitely we can have it. But my recommendation is, let's why don't you send across material about your company and what you guys are doing, and then based on that we can put up some time and we can always meet up. So just that you're aware, in a week our team, a 6-member team, we meet up with almost 10 to 15 startups every week. So that is and we like meeting with the startups as well, as long as we see some kind of a point wherein there is benefit for each other. Would definitely love to meet.
I think that's all, Dinesh, and it was a very wonderful session and a very informative session for all the startups, I guess. And so that's all for the day, and we thank you. I thank you on behalf of all these participants and for taking out time and explaining all these things. And have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vijita. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to stay in touch.
Thanks, Dinesh. Cheers.
Yes.